So I've been told many times that many people tend to think that understanding Lac Operon and Trp Operon are quite difficult. So I guess I'm going to have to explain it. First of all, you have to know that Lac and Trp Operon, they're related to bacteria, also known as prokaryotes. So and they form as regulators. And Trp Operon deals as a repressor, while lactose is mostly anyways. So Trp Operon acts as a repressor. You know what that means. I do hope that you guys have some kind of book with you. This is my biology book, and this is the version of my biology book. So I'm going to try to explain this in very simple terms. First of all, there's some things you have to know. Tryptophan has a promoter. Now, promoter is kind of what promotes. It means it allows the synthesis process to actually take place. And in that promoter, you guys are hopefully familiar with this. You should not be watching this video if you're deciding to learn about biology. But you have to know that it has RNA polymerase, which pretty much binds to the promoter, and it kind of allows everything to happen. RNA polymerase looks like somewhat like an arrow, just lets everything happen, okay? And attached to that RNA polymerase, so you know this is the promoter. So we have our promoter. So our promoter is this whole thing right here, okay? And of that promoter, there's an RNA polymerase. Right next to the RNA polymerase, so you have your promoter, you have your RNA polymerase, and attached to RNA polymerase, you have your operator. Now, I've been told not to think of it this way, but this is how I think of it, and I'm going to think of it the way I want to think of it. I think of it as like the ignition. The ignition to start this whole process. It's like a key, okay? There's nothing attached that can do the thing. That means RNA polymerase can do the function it does, which is it producing the trp. So you're producing the trp enzyme. So you're producing trp E, trp D, trp C. The whole point of that is you're just producing trp. That's all you're doing, okay? So this whole process is producing trp. Now here comes a problem. We have too much trp. If you have too much trp, something bad's going to go on. I don't want to say cancer because I really don't know what it is. But I don't know what it is. But something bad will happen because you're just overflowing your cell with trp. So what do? Well, there comes this nice thing called the tryptophan. Sorry, you have something called a repressor. Okay, this is the important part. You have a repressor. Now the repressor, and the drawing of this actually does matter, and you'll see why. We have the repressor. If you notice the repressor closely, it looks like a demented X. Okay, something not right about it. Okay, so do you think this? Okay, so you want to make it right. You want to make it have the right shape. You don't want it to be like that. That's not good. The shape here, this means like anything can happen in this and for tryptophan. Okay, so what do you do to adjust its shape? You get this thing called the co-repressor. Co-repressor that matters to you or not, and has some kind of pentagon here. I mean, that's how my book has it. That's the way it is. Okay, so great. So what does this do? Once it's like that, what really is happening is you're getting it as a nicer shape, a nice firm shape, okay? It becomes straight, okay? And, okay, So yeah, so you see this right here? So you had a demented shape, okay, and you bonded this thing right here. This is the co-repressor, and this is the repressor. Co-repressor, repressor, co-repressor, repressor. And once you have it binded, once the co-repressor binds to repressor, you have a nice shape right here. Do you see how it's nice? And it can fit properly. Do you notice how this somewhat can fit into this? Okay, so that's what's going to happen. This whole repressor becomes an active repressor. This is important because you're going to see the use of the words repressor, inactive repressor, positive gene regulation, negative gene regulation. So you have to be aware. So once you have that, once the co-repressor binds to repressor, it becomes an active repressor. Okay? Okay, great. Now what does the active repressor do? It binds, the repressor binds to the operator. Like I said, the operator lets things happen, okay? So you're going to bind this right here. You're taking this arrow right here. Okay? So just imagine with me here that this fits very properly. Like I drew it to the best of my ability. This fits right here. Okay, to the operator. Now do you notice what this has at the bottom? It has this thing right here, okay? This is what I call the roadblock. So the co-repressor is a roadblock. Why is it a roadblock? Because it will block the RNA polymerase from moving. So you have your your repressor right here, and imagine this is the co-repressor, okay? And you have your own RNA polymerase that essentially stops the production of the Trp enzymes. And of course, we said that you do have to regulate Trp enzymes. Now, if the cell wants to make more, then it can probably become inactive at some point. But that is how to stop the production of Trp, and this would become called active repressor, and you have positive gene regulation. Like positive gene regulation because everything's under control. The big boss is in the house, which is the repressor being active, so I call that the big boss. So the active repressor is the big boss, stops everything from happening, and essentially no Trp is being produced. Okay, nice. My prof actually asked us to know either Trp or Lac. So do you want me to explain Lac? Okay, I'll explain Lac. Lac is the exact opposite. Okay, we remember we said how we start off with the repressor being inactive. The repressor is bent. In Lac, it's actually straight. It's perfect. Like it's the normal shape. In other words, it can bind. So it binds to the operator, and it blocks RNA polymerase from doing its thing. Okay, but notice the only difference is the repressor does not need a co-repressor. Like it binds by itself and doesn't need a co-repressor. Okay, and when you have the and when it's binded like that, you don't produce any Lac. So Lac Operon produces Lac, right? Or lactose, right? Now let's do that is you take an alloctase, alloctose, or an inducer. Alloctose or inducer. The alloctose binds to it and actually makes it inactive. So once it becomes inactive, of course it can't attach to the operator. It's like a free-for-all. So you're getting Lac that's being produced. And the Lac produces actually 3 important enzymes. Some teachers say you need to know these, some say you don't. But I'll just say it anyways. You produce B-galactose, permease, and transacetylase. So B-galactose, permease, transacetylase. For my sake, I don't have to know it, but if you need to know it, you should know it. Okay? So what happens is when it becomes inactive, these 3 enzymes are produced. Now what do those 3 enzymes do? You'll be surprised. These 3 enzymes actually feed the function of digesting the alloctose or the inducer. So these enzymes will actually eat up the alloctose or inducer. Now what happens when you eat up all the alloctose or the inducer? We can call it alloctose or inducer. The repressor goes back to its normal shape and can easily lock back to the operator, and that stops RNA polymerase. Now, like I said, once you block RNA, once